I'm standing right off of Whitaker Lane in the Young Terrace neighborhood. There's a large police presence here, still a large police presence here rather, and they'll be here likely late into the night. And here's what we know so far. Norfolk police say they got a call after 6 o'clock about a mass shooting at the 800 block of Whitaker Lane. There was a domestic dispute where a man shot a woman, then shot 4 other women as they tried to help her. 3 of the 5 victims died at the scene. 2 were taken to the hospital with injuries.
This should be a huge story. This should be a huge story. Everyone should be covering this. I mean, this should be on CNN, MSNBC, considering Virginia was in the news for the last few days because they dared to elect a Republican governor. And people like Jamel Hill accused glacier glider women of being racist because they voted for a Republican governor. You know, those suburban moms that everyone's talking about that swing votes in certain counties? Well, yeah, those suburban moms have been kind of, on edge the last couple of years because the crime in Virginia is through the roof. It's crazy in Virginia. I'm going to go to the Virginia Gun Memorial a little bit later in this video. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. But we'll go to the Virginia Gun Memorial a little bit later. But wow, to think that the people in Virginia would vote for a Republican that, vowed to do something about the rampant out of control crime in their state, and not the Democrat who's talking about the shooters and the criminals are the real victims. Go figure.
Where a man shot a woman, then shot 4 other women as they tried to help her. 3 of the 5 victims died at the scene. 2 were taken to the hospital with injuries. We spoke with Police Chief Larry Boone, who had tears in his eyes as he told reporters what happened.
The suspect is known. The suspect is a coward. The suspect shot one victim, and as the community was trying to render aid, this coward shoots them.
Now, the suspect has been identified. He is known. It's unclear if he's in custody at this point. In Norfolk, Michelle Wolf, 10 on your side.
Obviously, tensions are high in the neighborhood tonight.
You can feel it in Michelle's voice. 10 on your side's Kara Dixon spoke with neighbors about what happened. Kara.
Yeah, Tom and Anita, as you can imagine, many who were out here were upset about this shooting. Now, family and friends are still out here on the scene just trying to figure out what exactly happened to their loved ones. Now, let me get out the way so you can see the scene behind me. Now, as we have reported, 5 women were shot here in Youngs Park. 3 of them killed. Family members here on the scene, for obvious reasons, did not want to speak with us, but other neighbors were also out here just waiting to get into their homes and were talking about what happened. Some say kids were outside playing at the time of the shooting. Now, I spoke with a man who called himself General Mike Payne with the original Black Panther militia. He tells me one of his members is related to the victim. They got a call, so they came out here because they...
So, this is what it took to get the Black Panther Party out in the streets when 5 sisters are shot and 3 are killed. It took one of them being related to a Black Panther. Had one of these women not been related to a Black Panther, it could have been 20 of them. This guy could have came and shot 20 sisters and killed 13 of them. And we would not have the Black Panther Party out here, or BLM, or anybody out here. The only reason they came out is because one of the victims is related to one of their members. And y'all hate me for covering these stories, but y'all don't hate them when that's the only thing that could bring them out? When a Karen could cuss out a sister cashier in Kansas and they would all fly out there first class and stay in 5-star hotels for the week and complain to CNN and MSNBC about how this country needs to have a conversation. But this in their own city, the only reason one of them came out from the Black Panthers was because he was related to. Look, I'm done with y'all. If y'all done with me, I don't care. I'm done. I've been done with y'all. I don't mess with y'all, man. Y'all crazy, man.
I spoke with a man who called himself General Mike Payne with the original Black Panther militia. He tells me one of his members is related to the victim. They got a call, so they came out here because they say they also are out here in the streets, in the community, just trying to build relationships with people. He says what's happened is tragic, and because they're here and the good times are working to help during the bad.
Hopefully we can organize something with the community, and we got to set something up. These things can't continue to happen, especially with mass shootings. We understand there's going to be issues. We understand there's going to be problems, but I think some things can be prevented.
Now remember, if some random glacier glider was caught on some viral video on Twitter that just, 20-second video that's circulating on Twitter, arguing with some sudden man somewhere about something, they would literally, I've done videos on this, they would literally go to the city and be outside the man's house protesting. How many, hit one if you've seen one of the many videos I've done on that over the years. They go outside and they're outside the man's house. I think it was one in South Carolina I did this year, and there was one in New Jersey. Where the guy was arguing with a brother on the streets. Just an argument. And the next day, it's 100 activists outside his house. And they're screaming everything but glory to God. And they called him everything but a child of God. And in both cases, I think the police had to come in and extricate the guy out of his house and save him. And then they wanted charges on the guy over an argument. But listen to his statement on a brother comes to the hood, shoots his girlfriend, and then shoots 4 of her sisters who came to her aid. Kills 3 of them in broad daylight with kids outside. Let's hear what he has to say about that. One of your activists.
Hopefully we can organize something with the community, and we got to set something up. These things can't continue to happen, especially with mass shootings. We understand there's going to be issues. We understand there's going to be problems, but I think some things can be prevented.
Now, 2 of the women were taken to the hospital. Their conditions are unknown at the time. We are working to learn more about them working to learn more about their conditions, and we're also working to learn who the victims were in tonight's shooting. Reporting live in Norfolk, I'm Kara Dixon.
I ain't gonna hold y'all in no more suspense. Suspect arrested. Norfolk police identify women killed following shooting on Whitaker Lane. Zionte. God, dog. Listen, man. And listen. I've heard both sides say this. I heard a young lady on a woman on YouTube on the female side I think her name Divested Zealot. I heard her say, these sisters bring these thugs around and they put everybody in danger. And I heard, like I told you, Obsidian radio talk about it. These sisters bringing these thugs around, they put everybody in danger. And I'm at the point where it's like, because you see these places, and I know this was the projects where this happened, but this fool shot 4 other people, killed 3 women, put 4 in the hospital altogether. 2 didn't make it, and killed his girlfriend in broad daylight in front of a bunch of kids in a crowded apartment complex outside in the courtyard on the main street. And if you want to be with this guy, sister, nobody's telling you not to be with him. But when you bring him around, you bring around a lot of violence and a lot of problems. He can come to a neighborhood where there ain't been a shooting in 20 years. And just because he's there, now it's violence there. I'm proposing, and I know this may be radical, but you heard Cynthia G. She said some radical things recently that, were very, very radical. And, hey, she has the right to propose whatever she wants to propose. I'm not against that. I'm proposing that these sisters need to be charged too. Now, this sister's passed away. She's dead. But in a lot of these cases, these sisters bring these fools around that they know are violent, sadistic, pathological psychopaths. And they take them with them different places. She takes them here, she takes them there, she brings them, and everywhere she goes, he goes. She gets a good job, she moves to a neighbor, he comes with her. She gets a condo, he comes with her and eventually he does what he does. And that's the thing about, this is what I'm saying. He ain't do nothing out of the ordinary. This is what they do. Okay? This is what thugs do. This is what shooters do. This is what goons do. This is what demon dudes on demon time do. This is what they do. So he did what he's supposed to do. But when I'm talking about this, you take him to all these places because y'all have this upward mobility. You can get good jobs. You can, qualify for, apartments. You can qualify for mortgages. You can get a Section 8 voucher. And everywhere you go, you bring these guys with you. And they just do what they do. And I'm saying, sisters, we got to come up with something where sisters get penalized. They should be charged too. Some kind of charge. I'm not saying that what she did was as bad as he did, but there should be some kind of charge. You know what I mean? If you want to date a thug and you want to be in a relationship with him, a psychopath, and put yourself in danger, that's fine. But you're putting everybody in danger now when you bring him around everywhere you go. So there should be some kind of penalty. I don't know what it is, what it should be. I don't know what it, maybe you guys can get in the comment section and help me out with that.
Breaking news at noon. A 19-year-old man is behind bars charged with the murder of 3 women and hurting 2 others. It was a devastating night for the Norfolk's young terrace community.
Casey Baylor joins us live. So, Casey, you spoke to neighbors in the area. What did they tell you?
Well, Ashley, neighbors are still shaken up by the scene. I mean, just standing here, they were emotional and in tears at the scene where it happened. Now, just take a look behind me. They all did come together to create this little memorial site honoring those 5 women that were involved. Now,
that's what 5 sisters get. Could you imagine if the guy who did the Ziante, before we knew him for this, while he was just doing his thug thing anonymously, doing his little carjackings or whatever, doing his little drive-bys on the ops, just doing his little, neighborhood stuff that, goes completely under the radar, whatever, just normal stuff in his own environment where that stuff is, that's just what he does. Had he gotten into a situation with a cop, what was his memorial look like? How many cities would he have memorials in? Now remember, the cop's supposed to treat this guy like he's Mickey Mouse. Cop's supposed to treat this guy like Stephen Urkel or Carlton Banks. And if anything goes wrong, if the cop, even if we see it, if the cop didn't execute everything in real time, 100,000% perfect. I'm talking about say everything right, react right, use what we deem as the proper force for whatever the Sunman did. The Sunman chase runs as soon as he catches him, and the Sunman, like, everything has to be perfect across the board. The cop makes one mistake, his brother will have a gold casket, 7 funerals, tweets from NBA players, NFL players, celebrities. These 5 sisters mowed down in broad daylight with kids outside. This is what they get. Life just ain't fair, man. That's why this community is just strange, man.
At the scene where it happened. Now, just take a look behind me. They all did come together to create this little memorial site honoring those 5 women that were involved. Now, police say 19-year-old Ziante Palmer killed 3 women in their 40s, Deetra Brown, Nicole Lovewine, and Sarah Costin. A 39-year-old woman and 19-year-old woman are recovering from non-life-threatening injuries.
So the girl he was dating, he didn't even kill her. This is what I'm talking about. He killed 3 women in their 40s, aunties. He killed 3 aunties that just tried to come to this girl's aid while her boyfriend was shooting her in broad daylight. Salute to those women. You know how brave that is? I've been around when the shooting starts. Man, you duck, you run, you dive. And I'm not talking about like just certain people, everybody. Some dudes, if they got it on them, they might, run for cover or turn around and shoot blindly, like just anywhere while they running or while they, looking for cover. But these sisters ran to her aid. And they've lost their lives because her thug, she travels with her thug. Wherever she goes, her thug goes. And if you there, you in danger.
19-year-old Ziante Palmer killed 3 women in their 40s, Deetra Brown, Nicole Lovewine, and Sarah Costin. A 39-year-old woman and 19-year-old woman are recovering from non-life-threatening injuries. Police say this started as a domestic situation. They responded to a call on Whitaker Lane around 6 last night. One neighbor says she heard several gunshots around that time, and she also saw several children trying to rescue those women shot.
Mothers, women, babies left without mothers. Like, this is not the start we come from. This is not who we are.
And you can feel the emotion coming from that one neighbor in the area, which is why several community members were walking around handing out these signs with the number for a crisis center and counseling support for those in this community that might need it. We're live in Norfolk. I'm Casey Baylor for 13 News Now.
Okay, Casey, thank you. And the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority says they're devastated by last night's events. They're going door to door to ensure that neighbors have proper counseling services. And for families seeking support with domestic violence, the Virginia...
Okay, guys, so here's the story. Here's the scoop. We're learning more after 3 women were killed and 2 more were injured in a Wednesday night mass shooting. Multiple people who live in Young Terrace community where the tragic incident happened told News 3 that the suspect, 19-year-old Ziante Brian Ricardo Palmer, was in a relationship with the 19-year-old woman who was shot and injured. We also learned that she is 5 months pregnant. So this fool shot a pregnant girl in front of everybody. Like this. But that's what they do. Like, I'm going to show you in a minute. Additionally, neighbors said 45-year-old Nicole Lovewine, who was fatally shot, is the mother of the pregnant teen who was injured. Neighbors said Palmer and the pregnant teen got out of a car. So our shooter Ziante and the pregnant woman gets out of the car, driven by an unknown person together. Palmer, Ziante, out of the passenger seat, and the girl out of the back seat, after having an argument in the car. So they got an argument, they get out the car. Palmer then shot her, Ziante then shot her in the shoulder as she was leaving the car. She ran inside. Then her mother and her partner, 40-year-old Deetra Brown, so the mother was LGBT, ran to her rescue. So girls arguing in the car with this guy. God. She gets out. He shoots her in the shoulder. Boom. The mother and her girlfriend come running to help her, because obviously he's probably going to finish her off right there. And he shot both of them at point blank range. A neighbor, 44-year-old Sarah E. Costine, and a 39-year-old woman heard the commotion and ran to help. These sisters are... This is what they talking about on... if you go to the sectors of YouTube, a lot of the women that was previously marching and protesting every time a thug, got into an issue with a cop. Well, some of them still marching and protesting, but some of them are like, yo, wait a second. Because they all asked for defund the police. Now they're acting like they didn't ask for defunding the police. They all ask for shorter sentences for criminals. They all ask for police to be nicer when they arrest the guys. They all ask for the criminal justice system to, let them out of jail after they're initially arrested, so they don't have to stay in jail until their trial date. To the point where cities like Chicago are running out of ankle monitors. They running out of ankle monitors because these brothers used to be in jail. These shooters and these killers, they would be in jail until their trial. Now, because of the 2020 with Floyd and everything, and Rashard Brooks and Jacob Blake and all that, they changed a lot of the laws. Now these cities, they're letting these guys go. So this guy, they're not gonna give him a bond because it's high profile. But if it wasn't high profile, he could have probably got a bond in Houston. This guy could have got a bond in Houston. So he shot both of those women. The second group of women that ran up, he shot Constine, killing her, and the 39-year-old woman. He shot her too. Lovewine, Brown, and Constine were killed, while the 2 other victims, a 39-year-old woman and a 19-year-old woman who was dating the suspect, were both taken to the local hospital. with gunshot wounds and are expected to survive. According to Norfolk Mayor Kenny Alexander, well, at least every city, every major city is a Sun man is in charge of it, or a Sun woman is in charge. Usually it's a Sun woman, but every major city. Kenny Alexander, the teenager, is out of the hospital. She's out of the hospital. Wow, she's home. She gets to go home. She gets to go home. But them other three women, her mom and her mom's girlfriend. Palmer was arrested. So this Deontay was arrested in connection to the shooting. The Norfolk Commonwealth Attorney Office said he was charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of malicious wounding, and 5 counts of use of a firearm and commission of a felony. Norfolk Police Chief Larry Boone is intentionally calling this a mass shooting, saying people are too desensitized to violence and calling for a national spotlight on the incident. Don't bank on it. You won't see nothing from most of the sisters on YouTube, most of them, except for the few that I told you that have kind of changed their tune, because they see all these sisters getting killed and all these sisters getting chased in the house. All these sisters have these near incidents like the chick in Bowie, the activist in Bowie. She had that brother was not going to do nothing nice to her if she wouldn't, if she. What's her name? Whatever, Williams, Zizia Williams, whatever, and Vizia, whatever her name was. But yeah, she was in trouble. She don't know how much trouble she was in. They seeing all these incidents, like the one in the Bronx, the girl, she barely closed the door. And they're seeing the numbers of these sisters. Like, sisters get killed more than the men of other groups. That's what you got to understand. Sisters get killed more. Men going to die in shootings because men carry guns. Men are high testosterone. They get in incidents with men. Men play the streets, the street life, the crime, criminal element. Far more men carry guns. I think maybe 1% of women carry guns. Like a far more men, higher group of men carry guns, and just it's just men get shot. That's who gets shot. But sisters get shot in public more than the men of other races. Now, they can't understand why a Republican gubernatorial candidate who vowed to do something about the rampant crime in the state won over a Democratic gubernatorial candidate who said that the shooters are the victims. They need lesser sentences. They need free housing. They need cuddles and hugs. They need lesser sentences. We all as a society, it's all of our faults. It's not just this guy's fault who did it. It's all of our faults. They can't understand how that guy lost to the Republican guy who said, look, enough of this. We gonna do something about all this crap. So, look at this. Look at this. You see a common theme? Now, before we go any further, Virginia as a state is 67, let's just say 68% glacier gliders. And you won't feel that way if you're in the cities. If you're in, the Richmond, Norfolk, certain parts of the cities, certain areas of the cities, it'll feel like it's not that much. But if you just go across the whole state, you'll be like, yeah. You'll think it's 90% glacier gliders. But it's 67% glacier gliders. And these are some pole people. I don't know if y'all ever been to Richmond. I went to college in Richmond. Richmond got like their glacier gliders are like, these are the poorest, jankiest, funniest looking people I've ever met in my life. And salute to them, man, but poverty Poverty don't cause them to kill each other, but it causes us to kill each other. And it's about 20% Sun people. So you got 68% glacier gliders and 20% Sun people. Back to the gun memorial. Man, this is a state where only 20% of the population. Look at this. They literally making up. Okay, here go one. Here go a glacier glider. He was killed in his home. Elderly man killed realtor, then himself at final inspection. What a sad case. Yikes. Wow, that was just a fluke incident. He got killed by a crazy old man. Okay, there go another one right here. Man charged with murder after Henrico police respond to domestic related call. All right. So this is the man who killed her. And y'all wonder why this type of stuff just used to be isolated to the Sun community. But I'm telling you, the last few years since George Floyd, this stuff has been leaking into their communities. And they like, nah, Jack, enough with this wokey woke Democrat, soft on crime, pro-criminal stuff. We getting a Republican in here. We ain't used to this. Sisters, y'all used to that. We ain't used to that. Two killed, one hospitalized in Norfolk domestic-related murder-suicide. This is on the 26th of September. And this is the brother who killed her, Nathan L. White II. Is a male model. So as you see, like these, listen, man, everybody on this list basically was killed by a Sun. God, dog. And listen, I know that y'all like, why are you not going to the... Y'all don't care about this stuff. Y'all still vote Democrat. These people in this state voted 90% for Democrats. That's going to release all these shooters onto the streets and give them all, and when they do catch them, give them all short sentences and take money from the police department and all this crap. So y'all don't care about this. So I'm going to the people who just voted in a Republican Republican governor, and are being called racist now. I'm going to focus on them. So basically, 98% of the people in this town, in this state, that's 20% Sun people. They make up 98% of the people out here. And the other people who aren't from that group, they were killed by people from that group. And they can't understand how a Republican... How did that happen? Well, the Republican said he's going to be hard. He's going to be tough on crime, man. You're going to start seeing that around the country, so get used to it. Hey, who killed Brenda Eileen Barnes? Who killed these people? Who killed this old lady? Okay. Whew. I'm about to say, man. Thank God. Say yeah, I'm about to say y'all doing too much. All these faces, I'm only down to June 27th. Look at this sister. Reagan. Reagan Charnay Chisley. And you know, we don't even really have to look who killed the Sun people because you ain't see Crump or Sharpton in Virginia this year. So you know if one of these Sun people on this list was killed by a glacier glider, Crump and Sharpton would have been in Virginia on CNN, MSNBC, talking about we need to have a conversation about racism in this country. And getting wall-to-wall coverage on all the news platforms for a whole week or maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. If one of these people here was killed by a glacier glider, for any reason too, it don't matter what it was. It don't matter if they was a cop that killed a criminal suspect fighting with him. It don't matter if it was whatever. Wow. Jesus Christ. All these faces, man. These are all the people, fatal gunshot wound victims in Virginia. 20% Sun people. 68% glacier gliders. I did a story on this girl. Mother of 3 killed, 3 others shot. Tuesday on Midlothian Turnpike in Richmond, Virginia. This was on April 27th. I did a video on this. Another mass shooting that claimed the life of a sister. You just click on anything,
Right now at midday, we continue to follow developing news. We have new information about last night's shooting in Norfolk that left 3 women dead and put 2 others in the hospital.
Police Chief Larry Boone called it the worst he's seen in his 30-year career in law enforcement. The suspect, just 19 years old. All new this midday, this is a picture of Ziante Palmer. He was in court this morning for a preliminary hearing. His charges include 3 counts of second-degree murder and several weapons-related counts.
Now, it happened last night on Whitaker Lane. That's in the Young Terrace neighborhood. And now we're learning more about the 3 women who died. 10 Your Side's Andy Fox live with the latest on the investigation. And Andy, a lot of moving parts here and broken hearts. This is a lot to digest this midday.
Well, as the chief said, it's the worst he's seen. It is horrific, to use a word, behind me. Memorial has been put up here. Balloons, people have been coming out here all day. This is exactly where it happened. We've been out here piecing together what we've been able to learn. Here's what we've been able to confirm through eyewitness accounts, and this is video from last night. The target of the attack was shot in the arm. She lives with her mother, Nicole Lovewine, who came out to assist her daughter and was shot and would die. With her was her friend Dee Brown, who was also shot and would die. A third person who lives across the walkway here, Sarah Costine, was shot as well, and she would die. Another person, along with the target of the shooting, Nicole's daughter, were taken to the hospital. Police would arrest Ziante Palmer, who had a relationship with the original target, the daughter of Nicole, who is Nicole's daughter. An eyewitness says that Palmer is in what he would describe as a jealous rage. Nicole's neighbor spoke to us, but did not want to be identified.
They said that her daughter had already been shot, and then whoever the shooter was shot her mother and her girlfriend as well. Nicole was a sweet girl. Nicole would come and go to work. When she get off work, she comes straight in the house. She never bothered nobody. When you see Nicole, you saw Dee. They were always together, wherever they went at. When they left out in the morning to go to work, they were together. When they came home from work, they were together.
So we're back here, and we are expecting a walk later on today in memory of the victims out here. Once again, this is the exact scene where it all unfolded. We had Nicole, who lived over on this side, Sarah, who lived over on this side, and it all played out right here in, I guess the word that I'm coming up with is just horrific, that all of this happened. And it happened quickly, and it was just very disturbing. There are children out here also. It was just people everywhere heard the gunshots, came running, see what was going on, and then the horrifying scene was right here. So we will have more for you coming up. We continue to work this story, trying to piece together the rage that would lead to something like this. And we will have more for you coming up later on in our newscast. We also will have the march out here. I think it's going to be around 1 o'clock to remember the victims who were lost out here.
A jealous rage. Listen, man. Judging from all them sisters and all them glacier glider women on that gun memorial, there's a whole lot of jealous rage in Virginia. Or maybe it's something else that don't nobody want to talk about. Y'all better be prepared for a lot more Republican governors around the country. Because it's like this everywhere. Get in the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe, peace, I'm out.